Hey there, how you doing? It's Pamela. Pamela with Coffee Talk. Look, we've got our coffee. We are good to go. So how's your week been? All right. So last week we talked about the different ways we can invest, and today we're going to dive deeper. I got a couple of stories for you. You know, I've been selling for 23 years, and I got some stories that I struggled to know that these stories are still existing. And so we're going to address this. We're going to address what's called your buy box. Sounds fancy, doesn't it? What it really is that we are going to ask ourselves and our business some serious, poignant questions. We're not going to be general. We're not going to be all out there. Anything goes, anything works. Just let me make money. No, there are so many opportunities out there. You do need to narrow it down. You need to narrow it down to what works best for you, for your company, for your finances, for your goals. So we're going to talk about what your buyer's box is, because I cannot tell you how many conversations I have had as an agent, an investor agent, so what's your ideal property? Which is a very general way of me asking, what is your buy box? And they don't have a clue what I'm talking about, although they've told me they've taken classes. They've told me that they know all kinds of stuff. They told me that they're in construction, but they don't know their buy box. And so what that tells me is it's just not being talked about enough. And when you're a business, you create your business plan, and in order to get any kind of funding, you got to have things written out and detailed out. They want to know what your business is, what is your escape route, I'm going to call it that, but your exit plan, your who you sell to, who's your customer, what is ideal for that business. They want it detailed out. You even have to have articles of incorporation to have an LLC or a corporate within the state, within federal, to get your EIN. So why wouldn't you do this with your financial assets and figure out, streamline yourself so that you know exactly what is your ideal property, and then you can hunt for that in particular and not just be all over the map. And let me tell you something, when you're going to talk to somebody that's in investments, they're going to ask you these questions. It's going to be one of the first things out of their mouth. So let's get down into it. I have my notes here just like I did last week. And I'm going to tell you guys that I am putting together every single week what's called a field guide, and then any documents that go with what we talk about during our time here together. So one of the things that, and you can get those field guides. So the link is down below. Hit your subscribe button if you want. Hit your subscribe button. And we're going to talk about selling your home, how to buy a home, how to buy an investment. What is your buy boxes this week? So the story I want to tell you, like I looked at some properties this week. I looked at a $700,000 one. I saw a $400,000, just over $400,000. And I saw, and the $700,000 was a bulldoze and rebuild for 2.5+ million, right? It's right down the road. So I'm in 28211 in Charlotte. If that means anything to you, that should mean that it is highly sought after, but it's highly sought after because the money to get in on the ground level in here is substantial. So when you have a $700,000 bulldoze, what you're really looking at is how big is that property? What can I build on it? What is selling in that area? How much? How long? We need to know a lot of details. And your financing, it's already got to be chef's kiss. Like, it has to be. You've got to have some serious experience. The best way to start some of that experience is between that 120 to $350,000 range. So to get in, that's before rehab, just to buy into that. So I looked at a property that was a little over 400,000, and I looked at a property that was just under 200,000. So what makes these difference? Well, I just told you the first one. I jumped the gun there. The $400,000 one, was it a flip? Absolutely not. It was not a flip. The first one's not a flip. Not really. I mean, it is, but it's a much, much longer term investment flip. And it is much, much. You got to have GC licenses. You've got to have architects. You've got to have plans and proof and topography and all kinds of stuff. Zoning and city ordinances, and you need to know a lot of details. You got to have a lot of experience, because no one's going to hand you $3 million when you don't have any experience, right? So to gain some of that experience, even the $400,000 one, no one's going to hand you the $400,000, $500,000 one if you don't have any experience with this. At least they're not going to hand it to you cheaply. And we want it as less as expensive as we can get it. Like, we want to get that down, ideally for cash. But if you're going to loan that money, we want that interest rate down. So the $200,000 one was interesting. It is a flip. It was on the market. I know you all call me. I get AI text messages. Every agent does all the time. Hey, Pam. Okay, it's Pamela. Hey, Pam. They don't tell me who they are. They don't tell me really what they want. They don't tell me they're about, hey, you got any properties? I have properties all the time. Quit talking to me like that. It's really just AI reaching out. So the one that was just under 200,000, it was a property that had ideally, I wanted about $40,000 rehab, right? We wanted to be all in for 230, 240. That's with closing costs, taxes, insurance, interest rates, like all of it. We wanted it to only be a certain amount. So, but how do I know that? I'm so glad you asked. Pamela, how do you know that? Oh, I know that because of the buy box. I have a buy box. And the buy box is going to ask us for questions. It's going to allow you to plug in the numbers, plug in the area code. Is it in the right zip code? Well, how do you know if it's in the right zip code? Is there already homes that are being flipped in that area? And I'm going to talk about flips today. I'm going to talk about buying, rehabbing, and selling a home, turning it over as fast as you can, with some unique little properties to it. We won't get into the unique part for another couple weeks yet. But so what is the biggest distinction between these three? A buy box. A buy box is about finding the good deals, but it's about defining what works for you. You, your business, your finances, your connections, what is going to work for you. So if I find you tell me, well, I want anything between $110,000 and $2 million. I cry, bullshit. Sorry, excuse me. I just had to have that right there. I cry, no way, Jose, because, well, lots of reasons. Lots and lots of reasons, right? But you got to know what you're narrowed down to so that you can find what works for you and that you can quickly flip over, because time is money and the energy is money. The contractors are money. Like, everything's money. Your money needs to be making money on this whole thing. So some of the deep questions that you want to ask, I guess I need to slow down with that. I just want to say it one more time. The real question is, what kind of property actually fits the strategy that you're looking for? So if it's a hold, so that it's a growing area and you got a good deal on it, you just want to hold it and rent it cheap and until that it starts picking up pace. in 5 years, 10 years from now. Well, that's a hold. If you want to buy a property that only needs a little bit of rehab and you're going to rent it out and you want cash flow each week, that's a strategy. We talked about this last week. So, and I have a field guide that really details that out from last week that you can get for free, by the way, last week's video. And so this week is what fits you, and how do you know that is your buy box. So what the buy box does is it identifies what you want to buy, what you already have the money for, what your price and your financing, and does your all-in price stay beneath X? And you need to determine what X is. So like the $200,000 property that I saw, it was really under 200. It was 100 and they were asking 200, but really it was about 160, 170, right? Which would have been my offer. Now, my buy box is going to be different than your buy box. So I'm just going to give you the examples from my buy box. So it's going to be 160, 170 would be the offer. I know because of the questions that I've asked myself that I can go all the way up to 185 and still be within the ranges of the money and the numbers that I want. How do I know that? Because I plugged it into the buy box. And when I looked at it, my ideal price, 160. But when I got to the property and I looked at the property, it had way, way more rehab than 40 or 50,000. It had a whole lot more. Now, I also know this is a little side note, but there's a lot of places out there that are saying rehab is $30,000 when the real world says it's closer to $70,000. Like that's a huge difference. Huge difference. So you're going to ask what neighborhood. You're going to look at neighborhoods and find out where there's already some flips, right? Or a lot of rentals. In my case, flips. So I have different zip codes that are in my buy box, and I have 15 minutes from downtown Charlotte that was within my buy box. And then I have a certain all-in price that includes my interest rate, that includes my closing costs, that includes, all of it. My all-in price. And so that's not my buying price. That is my all-in price, right? Some other questions. I'm telling you about what can I safely pay, right? What is my lowest? What is my maximum? Well, once I looked at this thing and it's going to sell for $325, and I want a certain percentage when it comes to the money that I want to make on the house. Mine's typically lower, so I'm not even going to tell you what mine is, but mine's typically lower because I'm building up momentum with some of my own personal ones. I have clients that their buy box is 40%. You can find those things. They're just a little harder to find. You can hunt and peck. It is possible. It doesn't matter what your buy box is. You've got to create the questions and answer the questions honestly and truthfully for you, for your business, and for your finances. So what can I safely pay? So I've got my all-in, my taxes, my selling costs, my commission. And yes, I still have commission, even though I'm an agent with my own. And the reason is I have to pay a buyer's agency. So commissions, staging. Does this house need staging or not? What kind of marketing am I doing with it? And yes, it's more than just the MLS. What am I doing with it? Who am I marketing it to? What is the client of this house? So a lot of those questions get asked in the buyer's box. Once you start asking those questions and have the answer, then finding the house becomes a whole lot easier because you're not running all over the place on every single wind blow thing. Like somebody blows your direction and goes, oh yeah, that looks good. Oh yeah, that looks good. Oh yeah, that looks good. No, you want to be able to plug in your numbers, sit down, plug in your numbers. Does it work? Does it not? No emotion, Before you ever go look at the house, does it work? Does it not? What is my maximum? What is my maximum rehab? Like, so this house doesn't work because my maximum rehab is blowing it out of the water. Too much for me. I don't want to deal with that on a personal level, right? That's going to change soon because I do have a GC. My own son is getting his GC license. Whoop, whoop. Let me know if you need a GC in Charlotte area. So I also, one of the things that I want to talk about is that I always estimate, my maximum amount is conservative. My rehab has 10 to 15% flexibility within it. Those numbers are part of that rehab. You always want a cushion. You want to be a good steward and have a cushion within your numbers because you don't want to stretch yourself going, oh, I gotta do it. You emotionally drive it. And I know you men do too. Come on now. You emotionally drive it because you're excited about it. You're excited about the area. You're excited about getting in on something. But the truth is, you've got to have all of those numbers down and everything put into the buy box before you get emotional. So and you've got to have the cushion, the 10 to 15% on rehab, the selling, the time frame. How long do I want this on the market? All of these things become part of your buy box. Okay. We don't want to be blowing the budget. So we want to have a cushion within that budget. Because why? Some of you are doing this on the side of your job. Some of you are doing this full time. Some of you are wanting to do this full time. Some of this, you're literally hawking your own house to get the money to do this. So we want you to be able to sleep at night. We don't want, what is the exit plan is part of the biggest part of your buy box. What is your exit plan? Do you have, when you're getting in too deep, what's the time frame? Boom, dump and run. So that you can free your money back up and do another one. What is the exit plan? So, what kind of profit makes it worth the effort? Mine is lower than yours. If you're wanting to just flip a couple quick so that you can get money cheap, then mine's smaller. And I do have experience because I manage other people's flips. But I don't have my name on it. So I want to be able to jump in and do some things and get money as cheap as I possibly can, right? I do want to show you my buy box. Is that possible? I think what I'll do is every single week this video goes into a post on my website at PamelaDeVru.com. Okay. I think within my website, in this post, I will produce the buy box, my personal one, the buy box, to see what it looks like for you, because I'm kind of running out of time. All right. I'm going to give you the last thing. If you're really, really, really started ready to invest, I have all kinds of videos now, and I'm doing up to 12 weeks of these videos. I have free information and emails about this. I have weekly posts, weekly videos. Hit the subscribe button, of course, but down underneath this in the description is a link to be able to get your free field guide, your DeVru Realty field guide, free. Details everything out that we've talked about and some of the things that I missed. So every single week has got a free guide. And I do a post on PamelaDeVru.com. So come on along with me. If you're ready to invest, we are going to be doing a class. Woo-hoo. We're going to be doing a class that you can do at your own pace that is going to be available to you. Not yet, but soon. So thanks for following along. I am so grateful that you guys are here. Do not begin with the property. Don't go looking at properties first. Why? Do all of you want to look at the properties? That's the fun, exciting part, I know. But that's also the part where you get all emotional and excited, right? Emotions, excitement is an emotion. And you end up making decisions that cost you in the end. It is the number one mistake that new investors make. They jump into looking at the properties. They mess up because they're emotionally there, even though we don't like to admit it, but we are. And we get in too deep. don't have an exit plan, don't have the buy box, don't know what our maximum is, are treating it more with emotionals than we're really, really caring to admit. All right, we're going to say bye for now. Talk to you soon.